What's up, creatives? It's me, Madam MJ, and today we're going over the skeletal system. The skeletal system is the physical foundation of the body. Humans are born with 300 bones. However, some of these fuse together over time, so eventually the body ends up with 206 bones that vary in size and shape and are connected by movable and immovable joints. Osteology is the study of anatomy, structure, and function of the bones. Our bones is the hardest tissue in our body except for the tissue that forms the major part of our teeth. The primary function of the skeletal system is to give support and shape to the body, protect various internal structures and organs, serve as attachments for muscles and act as levers to produce body movement, and help produce both white and red blood cells. Now, in order to move some of these bones, we have to have something what we call a joint. A joint is a connection between two or more bones of the skeleton. So things like our elbow, knees, and our hips, they definitely have to have a joint in order to move. But we do have some joints that do not move, such as our pelvis and our skull. So now that we have some basic knowledge of the skeletal system, let's jump right in and see what the names of these bones are and a few different ways that you can remember them. So first we're going to start with the bones of the arms and the hands. The humerus bone is the uppermost and largest bone of the arm, extending from the elbow to the shoulder. So whenever I'm trying to remember how to think of the humerus bone, I like to think of my funny bone and humor, funny bone. It just kind of, makes sense to me. So I like to use play on words, and that's what makes sense to me. Humorous, humor, funny bone. All right, so moving along to the next bone. The next bone we're going to talk about is the longer bone of your forearm. So take your hand and I want you to extend it straight out in front of you where your thumb is inward and your pinky is outward. So in other words, your thumb is facing the left side and your pinky is facing the right side. So with your hand just like that, the ulnar bone is the longer bone of the forearm. It is larger at the elbow than it is at the wrist, and it is located on the little finger side of the hand. So with your arm extended, take a look at your little finger side. Take a look at that bone that's going to extend from your elbow all the way down to your wrist, and that is your ulnar bone. So the next bone, still with your arm extended out in front of you, the next bone we're going to talk about is the radius bone. The radius is the shorter of the two bones on the forearm. It is larger at the wrist and is located on the thumb side of the hand. Okay, so this one right here, they're kind of opposite. So this one, it is larger at the wrist, and as it goes up the arm to your elbow, it gets smaller. Okay, the way I remember radius is, once again, it's a play on words. When I think of the thumb, I think of like hitchhiking. So I gave him a name. His name is Radius. So Radius is ready to go. And I think of a hitchhiker thumb, and that's just how I remember it. So it's a play on words, but it works for me. So the next one we're going to get into is carpals or carpus. So this is going to be your wrist. This is a flexible joint composed of a group of 8 small irregular bones held together by specialized ligaments. Okay, so if you think of like carpal tunnel, you can kind of remember carpus or carpal. So now we have our metacarpus. These are the bones of the palm of the hand. Parts of the hand containing 5 bones between the carpus and our phalanges. So let's move right into the phalanges because I just for some odd reason love that word. It's a funky word, but I love it. So the phalanges, they are the bones of the fingers or toes. and they can also be called digits. So it's very important to make sure that you know all terminology for all words so that you can be a very well-rounded nail technician and of course sound professional when you're talking to your clients. Okay, so let's get into the bones of the leg, ankle, and foot. So we're going to go from top to bottom. First up, we have your femur. Your femur is a heavy, long bone that forms the leg above the knee. So the way I remember femur is, once again, a play on words for me, is when I hear femur and knowing where the femur bone is, I think of female. Females have thighs, our thigh bone, our thigh area. So that's a play on words for me, but that's my way of remembering it, and it works for me every time. So now we have the patella, also called the accessory bone, and the patella forms the cap of our knee joint. So our patella is our knee cap. So, right up under our kneecap, we have two bones, with one of them being the tibia. The tibia is the longer of the two bones that form the leg below the knee. The tibia may be visualized as a bump on the big toe side of the ankle. So, if you're looking straight down at your foot on your big toe side, you may see something protruding. That would be your tibia. Right at the ankle, that little notch that's protruding, some people on is more visible than others just because of your body type and your body structure. But you can see it. It is a little hump. That would be your tibia bone. So next we have our fibula. The fibula is the smaller of the two bones that form the leg below the knee. The fibula may be visualized as a lump on the little toe side of the ankle. So same thing. If you're looking on your little toe side, you will see a little bump that's protruding from out of your skin. Once again, it depends on the person's body type and the person's body structure. You know how visible it's going to be, but I guarantee you it's going to be there. And the way I remember fibula is when I was growing up, I'm from the South, South Carolina. When I was growing up, we could not say the word lie to anyone that was, an adult. We had to say things like telling a story or fibbing. So when I'm trying to remember where the fibula is, I think of a little lie, a little fib, and then I'll be like, okay, cool. It's the little pinky toe side. So that's my way of remembering it. Once again, it's a play on words. You have to find what works best for you. So we're going to talk about our talus. Our talus is our ankle bone. So the ankle joint is actually made up of three different bones. So if you think of how your foot is made and how it's structured, it just makes sense that your tibia that runs down from your kneecap to your ankle, and then your fibula that does the same exact thing. It runs down from your patella, which is your kneecap, all the way down into your ankle. So those are two of them, and then your talus, because that's the ankle bone. The talus basically wraps around the base of your tibia and your fibula, and that creates your ankle joint. So now let's talk about the tarsal. So the foot is actually made up of 26 bones. These can be subdivided into three general categories. So 7 of them will be our tarsals. 5 of them would be our metatarsal bones, which are long and slender like metacarpal bones of the hand. And 14 bones being phalanges. Once again, our phalanges could be called digits. Our phalanges are the bones in our fingers and our toes. So there are 3 phalanges in each toe, except for the big toe. The big toe only has 2 phalanges, and that's how we have a total number of 14 phalanges in our foot.